I've become absolutely obsessed with this style of notebook, so I'm going to show you how I fill it and make it easy on myself, and stick around if you want to learn some tips and tricks. Okay guys, so I'm doing a flip through of my December 2023 Traveler's Notebook Accordion journal. And this is how you buy it. It's the number 32 accordion fold paper. I have a couple of other videos doing flip throughs and prep because, as you can see, I start my journals by adding watercolor backgrounds, and my technique is documented on some other videos if you want to go back and look, but essentially I use sort of a dried brush. I don't go too crazy with the colors. In this case, I just did, you can see here, like a dark Christmas green, a sort of, I guess I'll call it chartreuse, mustardy, greeny yellow, and then red splatters. So I really wanted to keep it fairly muted, and I already knew, so I created this in November expecting that basically everything I collected throughout the month was going to be red and green, or, you know, some sort of holiday color. So I had that in mind for myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and start flipping through here. You'll see a lot of what's on the front here are like little bits and bobs and, you know, tags and such that I collected. So, and then I put those down first, and then I put the photos in, and I finally add my titles and other notes and things that I wanted to put. So this is just some packaging from Blick Art Store for some new watercolor brushes that I got myself. Here is my boys lighting the Hanukkah lights on, let's see, that would be, looks like the third night of Hanukkah. Here's a little kitty cat face that my son brought home, and I just wrote here about how I always find these little things in his backpack when he comes here, home from school rather. Here is my family with my sister and my brother-in-law on Christmas morning. Some little things I collected at Epcot, which you'll see on the back here. Some little tags, and I made a note that we've been very into tea recently, which is not so new for me, but certainly for my husband. He was never into tea, and then all of a sudden he had some, and he, you know, found it a nice little ritual for himself. So this is a good example of, I had nothing else to put in here, so I just made my writing a little bit bigger, and I filled the page. Sometimes I like leave more white space than others. In this case, it felt a little bit too white for me. Another thing I could have done is just add some more splatters in here, and that would have filled this up and been okay for me. Part of it is that, honestly, I've had very, very little time. Right now is holiday Monday, Martin Luther King Day, and I'm just taking a break from working right now. I've been very busy with work. It's just the way that it's been lately. So I gave myself essentially an hour and a half to just completely knock this thing out, other than the background that was already there, and I was able to get it done. So I might have done this differently if I had all the time, but that's what I'm loving about these TNs with the accordion style, that you can find quick ways to sort of fill it up. Here's some beautiful handwriting from an envelope I received. I'm part of a calligraphy guild here in South Florida, and so one of the perks of that is that I get lots of lovely mail. Here's my kids taking what they call a costume walk around the neighborhood. Here's a little note to myself. I always love to keep the Christmas tree tags, and they started somewhere around the $60 like 8 years ago, and now we're for the same size tree in the $150 range. So just a note about how crazy the cost of trees has gotten. Here are my kids and my sister having our annual hot chocolate, and I made a note about how we were waiting for Santa to come. Our neighborhood or community does this really amazing thing where Santa drives around on a fire truck the night of Christmas Eve. So that's always a big thing for us. Here's my kids riding around in their custom red wagon my dad made them. Here's them snuggled up with my fur son, Dylan. Here's little bits that I had collected over the month, and I used this little pocket to put stuff in. So a note that we had to get a new hot water heater, some cool stuff that I bought. And then this was just part of a Christmas gift my sister gave me, and I tucked in some little love notes from my son to me. And I've been keeping all of this stuff lately, not just because it's cute, but because my son is really starting to write on his own a lot. So this one says, "Mom is beautiful." And it's very, very sweet. So I've been keeping these little bits. Okay, so that was sort of like the overview of the month. And then on the back, I made this all about our December trip to Disney. So this is a good example. I didn't point it out on the front, but I printed all of our photos in Canva, and I used the filter or the effect where it cuts it out. It removes the background. So I did that on almost all my photos, and I really love the effect. I think it makes it really like dynamic, and it also allows more of the background to show through, which is another benefit. So Portillo's, we live in South Florida, so we don't have a Portillo's, but part of my family's from Chicago. So we are very excited to go to Portillo's whenever we're in Chicago area, or now there's one in Orlando. So we stopped at Portillo's. Here's my mom and I having the Grand Marnier slushies in the France area of Epcot. If you know, then you know it's like the most amazing drink in Epcot. We did a cool scavenger hunt in Epcot with the kids. Here's my Epcot title, which I think turned out pretty good. There was this really fun little cookie scavenger hunt, and we only got one of the cookies, but it was still fun thing for the kids to, look out for cookies all over the place. But I have to say that like there were lines for cookies that were literally like 45 plus minutes. So that's why we didn't get more cookies. So we had lots of people on this trip with us, and my in-laws came with us, and that was their first trip to Disney with our family, which was really exciting. So we had a great night with them the first night before we went to the park. And then here is, I love this photo because you can see my son's name on the ears on the back. And so we're on the skyline, which is new at Epcot, and it connects one of the hotels we were staying at with the park. So you can see it was very foggy outside, and I just think this was a super nice photo, so I wanted it to sort of be highlighted on its own page. That's the whole journal. I really love it. As I said, I made it in a very short period of time. The cover is still missing something in my mind, but as I said, I had a very limited period of time to make this and film and everything else, so sometimes you just have to call it done. What I can tell you and why I'm loving these so much is that, first of all, my kids love it. They love, of course, to open these and to check it out, and it feels very interactive for them. But secondly, because this technique I've been using where I fill the background first with watercolor, and then I add everything over it, and I fill spaces with writing, means that I can do an entire book in a very short period of time, and it still feels very complete. So if I hadn't have added the background, you can see that this would have felt a lot more bare, right? And of course, I've done scrapbooks like that, but what happens is they feel so bare that I feel like, so for instance, if you picture this page without this background piece, that would have felt too minimalistic for me personally, right? But it creates this flow. You keep looking from one thing to the next. And I just think it's a really easy way to make journaling a little bit more approachable and simple to fill. And so I know that there's plenty of people out there that have a lot of time and love, like this is what they like to do. And I do enjoy doing it, but I get sort of worn down by it if it takes me too long. So if you're in the same boat and you would love to have a completed thing like this for a trip or a month like I did here, or even for a quarter of your year or something, That's what I suggest doing, is just creating some sort of background that's going to allow it to give you a cohesion throughout and allow you to feel like the pages are sort of filling themselves as you add just a couple of elements on each section. So I would love to know what you think. If you stuck around to the end, give me a little Christmas tree down in the comments and tell me what you think. Have you tried one of these TN Traveler's Note Company notebooks, or something similar in your traveler's notebook? I am actually prepping for another quick Disney weekend trip in the next couple weekends, and we're just going with me and my family. My two kids and my husband are going so that we can have a trip just sort of by ourselves. And I'm going to be doing another one of these, but I'm actually going to do it in the passport size. And I did another passport size for a weekend trip up to Gainesville, Florida last year, and I really loved it. Did the same sort of idea here. And then what I ended up doing, because I didn't fill the book as quickly as I wanted to, is I essentially wrote the entire back of it, had it just said Gators in big, huge letters, and I really liked how that turned out as well. I believe I posted that video, but now actually that I'm thinking of it, I don't know that I did. So I need to go back and look. And if I haven't, I will schedule that for sometime next week so you guys can check out that one, because I love, for just a quick little weekend trip, it's awesome. But all right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've tried it before, or if maybe this might have inspired you to do something similar. Bye, guys. Have a good one. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you could like and subscribe to my channel. I am still growing this channel, and I really appreciate all the comments I've gotten recently and all the engagement. It is so cool to see other people that are in the community really enjoying looking at the things I'm making. And I know I certainly look at everything that is out there and get a lot of inspiration. So I hope I'm giving you guys a little bit of inspiration in return. Thanks so much, guys. I hope your 2024 is off to an amazing start, and I will see you soon.